prairie basically means an area that doesn't have many trees and it's a lot of grass. It's going to have a very high species diversity of grasses and wildflowers and sedges. But it's not just those plants. All the invertebrates that are pollinating, but also the small mammals, reptiles and amphibians, and birds, and the fungi that live in the soil. It's an incredibly complex array of organisms that all comprise a community. But if you take them out, the community collapses. My name is Chad Gravy, and I was hired full-time in 1998 as a park ranger here, and then the job has transitioned over time. It still has park ranger in the title, but I'm focused more on managing our natural areas. When I first started working with Pottawatomie County Conservation, the mission was very much focused on providing outdoor recreational opportunities for people. But we've grown and expanded, and we've put more emphasis on environmental education and teaching people about the significance of our natural areas. And then we've also taken the next step, which is to be stewards of that natural system and realize the importance of a human engagement in caring for the land and relating to it in a healthy manner so that the land can be healthy, and then in turn, so can we, because it provides everything for us. These here, this is rough Gerardia, which is an annual plant that grows in these remnant prairies. And then this is little bluestem, which is one of the dominant grasses that we find in the prairie. We're getting ready to plant 30 acres of reconstructions in an area that was row crop. We like to plant it with local ecotype seed, stuff that grows right here instead of buying seed from some distant place. That usually means getting out and picking by hand. The real dark ones, especially if they look split open on the tops of the pods, those are ready. Iowa ranks as the most altered state in the country. Prior to settlement, 85% of Iowa was tall grass prairie. We have less than 1/10 of 1% of it remaining. So what once covered 85% of the state is virtually gone, and we can't recreate it, so it's lost forever. So whatever we have left, we still have the opportunity to be stewards of that and care for that. And I think that's the purpose of humankind, is to care for everything else. We're going to selectively cut trees out of this edge. And we're starting with this elm right here. The woodlands are way more dense than they're supposed to be, so they need to be thinned out for their own health, but also thinning off this edge here will allow more late afternoon light to get into this prairie. It'll allow more wind to move through here, and those are all parts of how these systems function. And so we look at the historical evidence to clue us into what is a healthy system. We're not at all interested in going back in time to what it was. That's not even realistic. This is 2019, not 1851. But 1851 gives us some understanding of how the system functions when it's healthy. So now we want to move forward in time to a healthy condition, not back in time. The primary thing that we're doing is just trying to pay attention to those basic biological principles. We need sunlight, we need water, we need those in the right way in the system so that the system can function. And then recognizing where our culture has interrupted processes and trying to restore those processes. Euro-American settlers started suppressing fires. Without fire, the energy and the nutrients in the system couldn't cycle like they were supposed to. And that allowed the trees to take over and shade out the plants. And that's affected the hydrology. So we can put fire back into the system. Our culture also got rid of the native grazers. So try to restore that process of grazing. In some cases, we're trying to do that with cattle and goats, but ultimately we want to do that with bison and elk because they're the right critters for the landscape. But all this brush is starting to shade out the grass and the wildflowers, and so we cut that to get sun down to the ground so that those native plants get what they need and they come on stronger. jump in ahead of you, Jordan. We need to get sunlight back into the system. We need fire back in the system. We need the grazers doing their thing. Ultimately, though, we need a human community that interacts with and appreciates the land and respects the land and has gratitude for what the land does for us. This place has taught me that we're part of the place. We're not separate. We kind of have this idea in our culture that nature is something to look at, whether it's the calendar or out the window or the picture on your computer monitor, but it's actually something to experience directly. It's alive. It's a dynamic system, and it's real. It's not fake, it's not artificial. It's a real experience. It's not fabricated. I learned a long time ago that every person serves a purpose. And I think my purpose is to be a steward of creation and also sharing it with other people and helping them connect with something that's bigger than us.